Good day, ladies and gentlemen. And today we're going to be playing a bit of Alien Resurrection for the PlayStation 1. Oh dear, this is a pretty tough game, pretty unnecessarily so. And the Lone Fox, it's 1 a.m. Damn, what time zone are you in? And yeah, it would be nice if Night Dive would remaster this and fix the difficulty. So, and hello, Cyrus Von Knox. Alright, so the reason why this game is so hard is not because the controls are bad or anything, it's just the fact that it's really slow. We'll let the intro cutscene play. I always like this logo here, the Fox Interactive, because, man, Fox Interactive published a lot of really good games. Argonaut is the developer, and these are the guys that also did the original Star Fox for the Super Nintendo. I had to look that up, but I was quite surprised. This is one of those games where, like, the intro cutscene is like an attract cutscene, so it's very easy to skip this. Of course, we have a reference to Star Wars with that ship flying by. So, Alien Resurrection, there's no actual dialogue here. It's just music and images, and if you don't know anything about this bloody movie, you'll have no idea what's going on. It doesn't bother to tell you, like, what year it is, what they're doing, like, who that is. Like, if you don't know who Ripley is, you have no idea who this person is. Doesn't look like Sigourney Weaver either. It sort of just assumes that you know what happened. And I did get something good for Black Friday, Cyrus. I got me a new processor, a Ryzen 7 5800X or something along those lines. Got it cheap too. I like that scene with Ripley kind of going nuts there. She doesn't really do that in the movie. Also, I love how the Betty has an arcade cabinet on their ship for some reason. I get kind of Guardians of the Galaxy vibes from that. Although I don't think Guardians of the Galaxy existed back in 97 or 2000, which is when this game came out. Now, once again, there's no dialogue to tell you what's happening. You kind of just have to guess. I mean, this is following the movie, but if you didn't see the movie... And so this basically shows that the crew of the Betty are nothing but murderous bastards. But still, though, this isn't too bad. It's just, but it's still just kind of like showing you things. Ooh, that's not a bad deal. I never really got into Gunpla. I've got like one that I got at a like anime shop back in the early 90s. What's sad about that is that shop has obviously long since been shut down, but the building where it was located has long since been demolished and replaced with no less than 2 separate buildings. Alright, so, Alien Resurrection here lets you play as a number of different characters from the movie. Now, of course, it doesn't tell you that. Like, once again, if you don't know who Ripley is, it's like, well, who the hell is that? Also, he pounced Origa wrong. Right there, that is literally just nonsense that guy spoke. Because it's like, wait a minute. If the containment field is at maximum, how are you going to escape? If all systems are nominal, that means it's good. This game could be good, and I'm not going to complain too much about it in the review, but it's just way too hard. But you've got modern controls, like modern controls in the year 2000. The gaming journos hated it for some reason, because it's gaming journos, but whatever. Once again, that's still kind of nonsense. I assume, like, the father computer, which is the name of the computer, is, like, trying to talk to Ripley or something, but why would Ripley ever do that? It seems really stupid. Like, why would you report to your own dissection? Ooh, not bad. Yeah, Raynick's out there. He's just busy living life and working hard. The AR-10. If I had any interest in such a thing, I'd consider getting one of the Saber line from PSA, but... I got my PTR, and I'm happy with that. Alright, so this is nominally a first-person shooter, but this is primarily a survival horror game. You don't really have enough ammo for this to be a first-person shooter, and yeah, it gets really annoying. Here's your infinite ammo pistol. That does not do nearly enough damage to take down the xenomorphs. Like, you can kill them, but it takes way too long. Now, everything looks pretty normal here, but when we actually have to fight the Xenos, that's when the game it gets to not be quite so good. Also, the ladders are a little difficult to climb up and down. And yes, you do take fall damage. So, like, we're picking up all kinds of med kits now, right? So it can't be that hard, right? Right? Now, I like Alien Resurrection, the movie. A lot of people hate on it, but I'm very nostalgic for it. It's not the best movie. It's not really where I think the Alien series should have gone, but, you know, it wasn't the worst sequel ever made either. It's much better than Alien 3. Fight me, bro. I will always hate on Alien 3. It's a bunch of bald British men whining and complaining, and, like, there's one or two good scenes, but really, you go from, you know, Aliens with all these great characters and action set pieces to that. I mean, that is the most dreary movie I've ever seen. I just... And, you know, I've been friends with people who are big horror movie fans, and even they can't stand that bloody movie. Entertaining trash is not bad. I'd call it a guilty pleasure. I mean, guilty pleasure I think is sort of an accurate thing, because, like, it's not a good movie, but I don't think it's bad. It's a movie I would choose to watch, I guess is the best way to put it. And yeah, the Frenchiness of this movie really is what kind of ruined it. But, like, you know, you got Ron Perlman, and he's awesome. He's hilarious in it, you know? But then you just got a lot of weird French expressionism, like Ripley waking up in some kind of white bag, which was weird. And then you've got the alien queen, you know, somehow growing a womb. At least back in '97, we knew how gender worked, and we knew what sex was. So, you know, at least we had that back then. But I like the characters in that movie. I like the French guy in the wheelchair. He was pretty funny. It was... When the movie's good, it's good. When the movie's bad, it's really bad. What I never got was watching for Ron Perlman. Yeah, exactly. Ron Perlman is great. I think Sigourney Weaver did pretty good in this movie as well. But, you know, you're going to resurrect Ripley 200 years later for some reason. And, you know, it's basically just they want to grow some aliens because. I don't really understand it. Now, one thing you'll notice is when you shoot these guys, their blood is apparently acid. Oops. Sadly, I did not mention that in the review, because I didn't notice it until I was practicing before the stream. Karens were out in force. Ugh. Not much, just Ripley waking up into the dreary future of the 27th century. But yeah, the guards do have acid for blood. Now, in this game and in the movie, Ripley is supposed to be like an alien-human hybrid kind of thing. So she's got like super strength, super durability. She can play basketball really well. So here's our first xenomorph. Now, this doesn't look too hard, right? Also, that xenomorph looks like shit. This is not too hard, but look at how many shots it takes to kill that guy. Now, imagine there's 4 of them and they slaughter you in like 5 seconds. That's why this game is pretty difficult to actually beat. This has all the classic cheat codes, you know, infinite health, infinite ammo. Believe me, you're going to need those. But we're going to just play it. The amount of the game we're going to play today, we don't really need infinite health or ammo. It's still pretty playable, at least for the first, like, hour and a half. But man, as it goes on, it just needs more weapon and ammo spawns and decrease the xenomorph speed. Like, I don't know why they made the xenomorph so fast. You know, I remember that scene where General Perez, who's actually played by the same actor who played the bad guy in Commando, if I'm not mistaken, who also had really hairy shoulders. Like, yeah, he did that, like, but that's actually not that inaccurate. He'd still have, like, a couple seconds to look at that before he died. I mean, morbidly enough, like, when people have had their, like, heads cut off, their eyes can still blink before the oxygen leaves their brain and they die. And I actually saw that in a History Channel documentary back when I was younger. If I'm not mistaken, the last boss of this game, you just shoot him till he dies. Whereas in the movie, it was this really disgusting thing where like the newborn gets shot out into space. Oh, we got our shotgun. It looks like Keltec made it into the future. Because this is a pump-action double-barrel shot... No, a mag-fed pump-action double-barreled shotgun. Because that makes sense. And this is actually one of your few good offensive weapons that you're going to have enough ammo for. But as you can see, we've got next to no ammo. And this is a lot like Thief, in a way. In that, like, Thief is not really designed to be a first-person shooter, but you have first-person shooter-styled levels towards the end of that game. Here's a bit of dialogue that's kind of feels very Japanese. I didn't know there was a PC version for this. I thought it was just on PS1. I seem to remember you just shoot him. Although I probably was safer in there than out here. I suppose I should thank you anyway. You can have the keycard I left in there. Good luck finding a lifeboat. That feels very Japanese. Despite the fact that this was developed by a British game developer, but whatever. And hello, Grilson. Let's see, it doesn't just take one hit to kill that xenomorph. You gotta shoot him twice. It's really annoying. Because now we're down to, you know, barely any ammo. It's like 2020 all over again. Alright, and so this is where we're gonna have to talk to Lydia Dietz. Ripley to engineering deck. Is anyone there? So you... Call, aka the Winona Ryder character, absolutely hates Ripley. Since when did you care anyone about yourself? Like, where is she getting this from? All right, I got it. Yeah, you would get blown up too, you wonderful human being. So yeah, Call, or Annalee Call, is played by Winona Ryder. She's an android who works with the Betty. So basically, if you've never seen the movie, here's the gist of the plot. Okay, it's the future. Roughly 200 years after Aliens... after Alien 3. Ripley died in Alien 3 due to a queen burster. See, do I have the shotgun? No, I do not. I thought it would actually carry on to this level. Due to a queen burster, the military, the United Systems military, which I guess took over human space. It's never made all that clear, and it changes depending on continuity. Resurrected Ripley via cloning experiments somehow. Ripley has all her memories because of the xenomorph genetic memory for some reason, so she can talk and use a toilet, thankfully. The crew of the Betty it's a pirate ship. It legitimately is a pirate ship. They're murderers and human traffickers. Annalee Call is a member of that crew, and they deliver human colonists. The novel goes into this, because yes, I read the novel. Delivers them to General Perez, the head of the xenomorph studies on the USM Auriga starship, which is where we're fighting. And they breed some xenomorphs, and now you're fighting them. In the movie, it goes a bit differently than this, though. There's like only 12 xenomorphs in the entire movie, and I think like 2 or 3 get blown up. But Annalee Call hates Ripley for no good reason, considering that Call is a murderer and a human trafficker. She's responsible for everything that's happening in this game and in this movie, and yet she hates on Ripley like a lot for no real reason. It's never really explained why. Also, Ripley, for some reason, wants to become a scissor sister with Call at one point. Yes, that happens in the movie, because France. But yeah, it makes no sense to me why Call would want to hate Ripley, because, like, it's not Ripley's fault. Ripley's the one that got cloned for this period. And yeah, Weyland-Yutani does get bought out by Walmart. There's one comic that is set during this time period. And in that comic, they kind of bring the Predators in. I think it's called Civilized Beasts. I haven't read it in like 10 years or more. Damn, I'm getting old. But yeah, this time period got a little bit of expansion. There was a novel called Aliens Original Sin. It was terrible. It wasn't, actually I'd say it was terrible. It wasn't very good. It's where Ripley, Call, and the rest of the Betty, they're basically going around trying to destroy xenomorph labs and stuff like that. In that novel, we learned that like Ripley is apparently like weighs more than an adult man because of all the alien like muscle tissue for some reason. And see, that's really cool how the xenomorph can just jump around like that, but you can't really react fast enough to kill him. And once again, you don't have enough ammo to really fight him, and you can't fight the xenomorph with that pistol. So either the pistol needs to do more damage, or you need to find more ammo. But yeah, Alien's Original Sin wasn't bad. It sets up a whole new plot where, like, Ripley has to fight the engineers or the jockeys, or the, as the novel calls them, the Malcac. But that never got followed up on. The rest of the Dark Horse Press novels would follow just completely unrelated plot lines. They were all so poorly written. I would not recommend reading it, any of it, because it was just terrible. It was terrible. It was terrible. There'd be a comic released, I think shortly after the movie, called I think I'm going backwards, but let's see. Yeah, okay, I think I am going the wrong direction here. But there'd be a comic called Aliens versus the Predator versus the Terminator. Because yes, there's going to be a crossover. I mean, that kind of makes sense. Okay, I am in the right direction. I think I'm going the right way. Okay, yeah, here we go. Also, you move really slow in this game, too. It's very deliberate, very plotting. But AVP VT is set in the Alien Resurrection future. Somehow the Terminators have survived. The crypto Terminators. And they're like merging with xenomorph tissue to become like stronger or something. That's actually where Ripley in this continuity dies. Fighting the Terminators. I mean, it's not a bad idea, and I kind of figured that, like, I kind of think, like, you'd almost have to combine Aliens and Terminator for the timescale to make any sense. Because I started thinking about it after I read the comic. The comic isn't that bad, though. It's actually worth reading, but, like, the idea is, like, okay, let's say, for sake of argument, you want to have FTL-powered starships in, like, 2100. Well, in order to do that, you need, like, some sort of antimatter space drive, and it's implied that Skynet created that to make the time machine, so, like, you know, Skynet gets defeated, humanity uses its technology, and, yeah, okay. I can kind of see that making a degree of sense. Is Phalanx, or brief... I actually did a review of Phalanx, Anthony Jordan, and yeah, it is pretty good. The only problem is, it is very modern in many respects. Make of that what you will. And when I say it's modern, I mean, like, okay. There's always going to be a degree of swearing in any sort of, like, aliens-related media, but, like, there's a character that is, like, unnecessarily obscene. And so it's kind of annoying, but whatever. So this is where I started to really have problems with this game, is right in this area here. There's too many xenomorphs for you to fight with your pistol. If you try, you will die a lot. What I found is, actually in this level, I didn't even pick up the shotgun. Like, if you don't know to blow open that box, you won't have the shotgun, and these xenomorphs will kill you, like, almost every time. I was starting to get really frustrated until I went back and found that shotgun. That's what I liked about Star Wars, is they never had any human or any Earth swears, and so it felt, you know, like a different universe. It's one of those things where I liked it when books had minimal swearing, where people actually sounded like adults and not foul-mouthed 12-year-olds. But we can't have that, can we? Yeah, next month, I'm going to be doing a video on, oh crap! Now that is pretty impressive for the PlayStation 1. And yeah, it's like swearing should be done to, like, emphasize things. And the early Aliens books did that. But I'll tell you this, the thing that kind of annoyed me about Phalanx is, there's one of the characters invents... Oh man, is that a spoiler? I guess it kind of is. Do I want to spoil it or not? Yeah, there was a little bit of swearing in A New Hope, but I'm talking like, when I say obscene, I mean like a damn, a hell, or even a fuck or a shit. It's not that bad. But one of the characters invents something, of which I will not spoil, and he refers to it as semen, but replace semen with a much more childish word. You don't care about the spoiler? Okay, so there's this character who invents a anti-xenomorph like poison, right? And they call the xenomorphs, I think they call them demons. I don't remember exactly. I haven't read the book in a while, but I do know the other half of this word. It's like he refers to it as like demon cum, and it's like, really? Come on, what are you, 5? And it's like, I can't take a book seriously when they call it that, you know? And that character is basically completely inappropriate the entire book, despite kind of being the smart guy. It's like, really? No wonder nobody likes you. It's like, nobody likes this character in the book. It's like, well, no wonder. Yeah, it's just like, if they called it like demon poison or something, I could take that seriously, but like, referring to it as anything like that, it's just like, no, just no, please. And yeah, Warhammer, they have some real swears, and they have some fake ones. I've noticed there's a lot more shits in Warhammer than there used to be. It's not too bad, though. My thing about swearing is, if you do it too much, you sound like a 12-year-old. If you do it too little, you also sound like a 12-year-old. Because, like, real people would not go like, dang, that hurt. Like, if they got shot or something. They would say, fuck, that hurt. But they wouldn't say fuck all the time, either. Exactly. That's the only real problem with Phalanx, though. It's a good story. Sadly, a lot of the modern-day Aliens stuff is pretty woke. How woke, you might ask? And this is not me just, like, misinterpreting it either. Like, it's legitimately woke. There's a AVP book, like the first AVP book in, like, 20 years, and they retconned the female predators. Okay, this is where we're probably gonna die. I'm almost out of shotgun shells. Look at how much damage I take. I don't seem to be taking any damage. I think I might have left the infinite health cheat on. Basically, I would have died there. No, I didn't. I don't think I have the infinite health cheat on because I think it used up all my medium health kits. Okay. I thought I turned all those cheat codes off. Yeah, whatever. I would have died there, though, if I didn't have those health kits or if I had the cheat on. It's like, I've got 2 shells. 1, 2. It's like 2020 all over again. But yeah, that Aliens versus Predators book, they retcon the Predator females into being oppressed by the Predator patriarchy. I'm not making that up. Like, it is legitimately a thing that happens in that book. They got a female Predator character lamenting how she can't rise in the Predator hierarchy because of the evil male Predators. So, yeah. I got so disgusted I couldn't finish that book, because, yeah. That's the difference between today and the past, you know. Back in the day, it was all about, you know, to a certain extent. Okay, I got that cheat code on. Oops. Oh well. That makes this easier for me. I would have died so many times. And you just don't have enough ammo. We got 40 laser blasts, but that's not going to be nearly enough to kill anything. But yeah, back in the 90s, it was all about sort of female empowerment, like, females can do it. Now it's all about female victimhood. Ugh. But whatever. But yeah, there was an Aliens Colonial Marines technical manual that was very hard to find back in the old days. Because I think it was only released in the UK prior to Prometheus coming out. See, Prometheus, I got so excited about that movie. Like, I was legitimately excited. It's like, it's a new Alien movie, man. It's gonna be the greatest. And then I saw it, and it was like, ugh. Well, you gotta remember, Disney, agnostic, libertarian, you know, like, Disney is all about the message, so they had to change that. They had to change it, you know? And it's... I remember an AVP Prey, like, the big badass Predator, Dashin Day, is like, yeah, you know, like, was like reminiscing on the time he was having some fun with the female Predator, and apparently the chick got so aroused by Dashin Day, she threw him across the room. It's like, damn, that dude got skill. The existence of Alien Covenant made it 10 times worse. Eventually, I need to see Romulus. But, yeah, Prometheus, I knew it was going to be bad from literally the first scene. Mantis alien. There's all kinds of xenomorph types out there. I think, for me, when it comes to, like, making an Aliens movie, you don't really need to, like, constantly change the xenomorph form. But if you want to make, like, a really cool xenomorph, like, go for, like, the crocodile xenomorph. Make it, like, this giant thing. Because, like, Batman had to fight that once. And yes, Batman fought a crocodile xenomorph because, well, he's Batman. Yeah, the black goo is bullshit. I don't know why. It's like, you've got the cool xenomorphs. Why do you need to make them even more alien, I guess, by making it goo-related? Now, for those who didn't see Prometheus, and what's funny is when I did my review of Prometheus, people were complaining about, like, it's not a prequel, it's just its own standalone movie. Uh-huh. And then, you know, Covenant is one of those movies that they took a bad idea of a prequel and made it worse. Prometheus is where a bunch of characters go to this planet because, like, they think the engineers or the jockeys or whoever... Oh, yeah. Remember the jockey alien from Alien? Where it's like this giant, like, elephantine kind of thing? Well, no, we gotta change that. I thought I shut that off. Oh, well, let's see if we can find that. They gotta change that to a dude in a suit. Because, of course, they did. For some reason. Well, anyway, in Prometheus, there's an android named David. He, like, gets some black goo, and then in Covenant, he creates the xenomorphs. So, yeah, it's just some random crazy android that did it. Because that makes sense. And yeah, they were trying to be very pretentious. Prometheus is a very pretentious movie. Like, the first 5 minutes, you know what kind of movie that's going to be like. And it was terrible. I've not seen Covenant. Don't really want to. It looks like your typical modern-day bullshit movie. I think we're going backwards here. I don't know if that's a plot point from Alien 3 or not. I'm not sure when that came about. The whole xenomorph taking the form of the host, I think, actually kind of got codified in AVP2. Because that's when they introduced the Praetorian... Well, no, that's when they tried to tie the different forms to, like, the host. So, like, the runner was born of, like, animals, the warrior born from the humans and stuff like that. No, I don't think that was AVP2. Maybe that was AVP Extinction, but I don't think any of the movies came right out and said that. Movies will seldom do that because normies have a short attention span. That's the thing, like, Prometheus reminded me too much of, say, something like 2001: A Space Odyssey. Where it's a well-shot film, but it's boring as fuck. Okay, we gotta shut that off, and I'm trying to find the little spinny wheel. Man, I got in so much trouble for talking bad about 2001: A Space Odyssey. Man, people still love that movie. I said it was boring, pretentious trash. It's like, you just don't get it, man. Like, the monolith is, like, teaching humanity. It's like, what? There it is. There's the spinny wheel. There'd be no way to turn around in time to actually engage that enemy there. Yeah, I agree with that. Most people, when they think about 2001, they're really thinking about 2010, or they're thinking about, like, 10 minutes of the movie. You know, people always remember Hal and stuff like that. But Hal is, like, in the movie for maybe half an hour. Where pretty much that whole movie is just shot as slowly as possible. Like, they drag out every single goddamn scene. And, like, it's not exactly artistic either. Like, for example, there's a scene where it was just a guy eating. It's like, oh my god, he's gonna eat, man. That's the greatest thing I've ever seen. It represents the beast within us, or whatever, you know? Or like, oh yeah, the guy running in a circle, that's great. Zappy zap. That was great, you know? Now, Stanley Kubrick did make a few good movies. Oh, it comes with Prometheus and Covenant. Yeah, I wouldn't buy that whole thing. I still have my original DVD copy of the Alien quadrilogy. I was still a kid at the time, so actually paying like the 50-60 bucks for the quadrilogy was not an easy prospect. I find it funny though that, like, I think it was Walmart, they sold the Alien triple pack, which just had Alien 1, 2, and 3. It's like, hey, Alien 3 is the worst of the lot until Prometheus. I don't want that one. Just skip over that one, give me Resurrection. I would rather watch Resurrection over Alien 3 any day of the week. Any day of the week. Because at least Alien Resurrection is entertaining. It's not just bald British men. Like with Stanley Kubrick, the movies that he's done that I actually like are the one with the guy in it. You know, the dude from Star Trek Generations. What is his name? The British guy. Oh, what the hell is that guy? It's like right at the tip of my tongue. Well, anyway, it has that guy in it, who's a famous actor. Quadrilogy for $30 at Best Buy. That's a pretty good price for that. Yeah, Malcolm McDowell. It has Malcolm McDowell as like the main villain, and Clockwork Orange is one of those movies that it's still a bit slow, but it's still pretty entertaining. I don't know why Kubrick likes to drag out every single scene, but it's still pretty good. And then there's Spartacus, although you wouldn't know that Stanley Kubrick did that movie. But Spartacus is pretty entertaining. It's always interesting to watch movies of that vintage. Now that's pretty good for PlayStation 1. You know, like, you gotta remember, this game, the PlayStation 1 was doing good to run Doom at one point, and now we've got like full 3D polygonal graphics that don't look, okay, they do look bad, but they don't look that bad. You know, this is a 32-bit console, unlike the 64-bit N64. Get in or get out. I wonder what this game would be like on the N64. Oh, way better, I should think. But, yeah. Spartacus is pretty good. It's always interesting to see movies from that vintage to know that literally everybody in that movie is either dead or really, 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 really old. Kind of like some of those old westerns. It's like, well, that guy was 100 when he died. I think movies started to get really, really good by around the 1970s, though. Like, the 1970s, like, the technology had advanced enough to where special effects looked really good. Although there are some, and also the acting was a little bit more natural because of the relaxing of the Hays Code. But there were some good 60s movies. There were a few good 50s movies. I think one of my favorite sci-fi movies of the 50s was Forbidden Planet. If you haven't seen it, I really recommend it, just because it's very 50s in many places, but it's still pretty entertaining, and it basically is Star Trek Zero. Uh-oh. I hear a facehugger. And even with the infinite health cheat, a facehugger is still a one-hit kill. Ooh, we decapitated him! I didn't know you could do that. I haven't been able to do that until now. But yeah, Forbidden Planet is basically just Star Trek Zero, except, you know, you don't have like a conventional starship. Instead, you have an actual flying saucer. You got Leslie Nielsen as Proto-Captain Kirk. But it pretty much is all the tropes that we would love from Star Trek in that. I mean, I get why they're instant kill. I mean, it's kind of annoying, but I mean, it is keeping in keeping with what they're supposed to do. I don't think Alien Trilogy, the game, has insta-kill facehuggers, though. I'll stream Alien Trilogy at one point, but man, that game is not the best. But believe it or not, Alien Trilogy would be the first PlayStation game I would ever play in 2005. I did not grow up with the PlayStation 1, so that would be the very first one I would ever get. Okay, so that doesn't work. Oh yeah, we're trying to launch a lifeboat that if it blows up, could blow up the whole ship. That seems like a pretty big design oversight, but whatever. Now, if you don't have infinite health, you would have died many times over. Because you just don't do enough damage with that pistol. There's just no way to do it. And as you can see, we still don't have that much ammo. And when it's gone, it's gone. They just need to be... Now, these vents are a little difficult. Like, if you are suffer of motion sickness, yeah, it's like, ugh, I think I'm gonna throw up. Now, there's not really any music in this game. It's all just atmospheric. Okay, let's save. I don't know why I'm saving, because I can't die. It's like I'm Deadpool, just less annoying. Too bad the gothic industrial set design on point. The soundtrack is pretty good. Well, I would say that Alien 3 would be better than Prometheus and Covenant. Those events for a bigger issue on an old school CRT? Probably. I've not played anything on a CRT in many, many years. I mean, I much prefer... I don't have the room for like a old school setup, and I'm not sure I'd want to mess with that stuff anyway. That's 3 xenomorphs. If you don't have ammo, you die. Now, thankfully I do, but you just need more ammo. Because when I did indeed record a lot of the game legit for the review, and that was an annoying place right there. This level went from pretty fun to pretty annoying fast. Well, Silverwings, it would be very hard if I didn't accidentally leave the God mode on. Oops. It was total accident. I swear it was. But yes, it is pretty hard. And not in a good way. Just not enough ammo, not enough health. When I recorded this for the review, I did not have infinite health on because I wanted to get a good feel for this game's difficulty. Home Alone on Genesis. I don't remember anything about that game, but I can't imagine it was that good. Because, man, how do you make a game out of Home Alone? You know, I get why people like their CRTs. I just have no room for it, for one. Like, I'm playing this on a flat panel monitor, and I get it. You know, like, you need the scan lines to make the graphics not look so crap. You need the scan lines to get the proper amount of, to get rid of the input lag, but you can kind of do that in software. Okay, well, we think we just came here. Home Alone 2 on the SNES. That's one of those things, like, I kind of miss movie tie-in games, because sometimes you could get a good one. CRKT knives. Who keeps messaging me? Like, everybody knows I'm streaming around this time, but whatever. You know, nobody will message you until you're busy. That's just the way it goes. That's just the way it goes. Okay, I think there's gonna be some ammo in here. But just look at how fast these xenomorphs moves. Like, it's crazy. And you just have no way to really react to that. You can't jump in this game either. Which, I don't guess you really need to, but... not bad. You must be a better... well, you are a better gamer than I, that's for sure. Silverwings, I'll have to take a look at that. What's kind of funny, though, is it depends on what kind of TV you have. I still have some older HD TVs where it does have a component input. And I have played a original NES on a 42-inch modern... well, I say modern, it's like 10 years old. On a 10-year-old TV, and it looked pretty good on there. It looked remarkably good. I don't remember there being too much input lag. Yeah, my NES was one of those awesome finds where I just so happened to be in the right place at the right time to get an NES plus a bunch of games for a mere $20 at a garage sale. I'd always dreamt of finding one of those, and I did. It was about 11 years ago, and I still remember it to this day. Like, I just saw it sitting there, it called my name, and I ran to it, and I finally had my classic NES. I picked up a few games since, like Kirby. It came with, like, all the classics, though, like Double Dragon, Super Mario, and Duck Hunt. And I do have a zapper. All that good stuff. Oh, come on. I saw R2. R2-D2. Where are you? There we go. Heading back to the Betty. Wait, how did Ripley get over there? That doesn't look too much like Ripley. The research deck! Listen, Ripley, destroy any other clones you find. How does she... Why would Ripley follow those orders, but whatever. Yeah, Double Dragon is still pretty good. It doesn't have two-player simultaneous, but whatever. It was like one of the first beat-em-ups of all time, so I'm willing to give that a pass there. Either a PS2 Slim or a PS3 Fat. I actually have a PS3 Fat. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. Like, the Blu-ray laser broke. But, I go back to just having a shotgun. But the PS2 stuff still works on there for whatever reason. And I think, like, Double Dragon 3 is, like, the worst of the NES trilogy, if I'm not mistaken. I remember, like, the AVGN complaining about that, like, 15 years ago.
Evacuation incomplete. Civilian presence detected on levels 2, 3, 9, and 13.
Now, there are a lot of classic actors in this movie. Like, in addition to Ron Perlman, you also had the guy who played the little dweeby guy, Purvis. The guy who was human trafficked by Call, no less. He was a Star Trek actor. He actually played basically the same character, but instead he was like, I don't think he was a clone. No, he wasn't a clone. He was a holodeck guy that was being hunted by the, God damn it. Okay, I'm not sure if this is going to do that or not. Let's see, because I've got the infinite health cheat on. Okay, now will I actually die? Alright, so here's something really neat. Okay, you see that little meter in the upper left? That's how much time I have before the face hugger will come out. Now, since I've got God mode on, I don't know if that'll actually kill me or not. Now, I'm not really sure if a face hugger would actually, you know, face hug Ripley, but whatever. Yeah, because I remember the AVGN mentioned that in Double Dragon 3, they got the names wrong. It was Bimmy and Jimmy. Yeah, I saved. Hunted by the hunted by the Hirogen, which were the not predators of Star Trek Voyager. Man, one of the things I miss about the old days, though, is certain books could get away with certain things. And so I have a Star Trek book that I think was supposed to be for the Utes. Oh, wait. Am I gonna die? Yep, there we go. Okay, so you do die, even if you do have God mode on. I'll talk about Brad Dourif in just a second, but like that Star Trek book I was talking about, it has a lot of great Star Trek lore, but there's literally a picture. I am not exaggerating when I say this. There's literally a picture of Seven of Nine in bondage gear. Now, it's not really bondage gear, but it's where she's captured by the Hirogen. And it looks like bondage gear. She doesn't have a ball gag in her mouth, but it does indeed look like what I just described. Because, you know, it was the 90s, and it's just what she did back then. And yeah, Brad Dourif was in this movie. Brad Dourif was also in Star Trek Voyager, no less, where he played a crazy guy. No surprise there. He played the psychopath named Suitor. I mean, if you're gonna name your kid Suitor, like he's either gonna be like a conceptual artist, or he's gonna be, you know, or he's gonna have like a suit made of female skin. I'm just saying. Now, this doesn't seem so bad, right? But man, there are so many face huggers in this game. Yeah, review is on the way. It's gonna be the week after next. Well, I mean, already in this movie, the The ham was pretty high though. There's a scene in this movie where he's like cocooned up, and he talks to the newborn xenomorph and calls it a butterfly. It is the most entertaining thing ever. That's the thing. Alien Resurrection, for all its faults, is at least entertaining, whereas Prometheus was not. Prometheus was dull, pretentious crap, and yeah. And it can predict everything. It is harder than hard, yes. It's hard, but not in the good way. And I did actually try to remember where all the spawn points were for the enemies. And even then, it didn't really help. Hence the God mode. Although we do have to actually try to not die to these goddamn facehuggers. Okay, let's save. I think Sigourney was probably at her hottest in this movie, if only because they did her hair right. Like, she always had very short hair, whereas in this movie she had very long hair, and depending on the lighting and everything, she could look pretty sexy, whereas she always had sort of a mannish look in the previous films. Of course, also depending on the lighting, she might look like somebody of, shall we say, unconventional gender. I got through this level, and then finally I just said fuck it and put God mode on. So it's after this level. Oh, you little bastard, you think you're gonna get me? Many facehuggers with death on me, huh? Yeah, the chest was bursting out of Brad Dourif considering his acting. It'd either be scary or funny. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, apparently Gladiator 2 was terrible. I have not seen that. I didn't really care about Gladiator. I mean, I like the first movie, but like, that's not a movie you could really sequelize. She was pretty hot in Galaxy Quest, although I much prefer brunettes to blondes. And so she was blonde in that. And Galaxy Quest was a pretty good movie. It's like, oh, we got the Ripley clone. Yeah. I like how it just explodes. If you don't shoot that clone, I think you end up failing the mission. Yeah, that was a scene in the movie. Hey, she still is pretty hot. I mean, I'm sure she's had a lot of work done, but she has actually aged pretty well. She was still hot at least a decade ago in that movie Paul with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. That's a movie that I need to watch again. I don't think I've seen it since it came out. Because I thought that was actually pretty funny most of the time. Although he was kind of unflattering when it came to America, though. I mean, making us look bad again. But then I guess he's still kind of salty about the whole revolution thing. The Orville's not really a parody, though. The Orville is actually just basically TNG, but with Seth MacFarlane. So really, when it comes to Star Trek parody, pretty much all you've got is Galaxy Quest, and even then it doesn't stay a parody. Really, both are pretty good. Okay, so I don't have that yet, but I think this might be open up here. But, which is the best Star Trek inspired thing? I would say Galaxy Quest. Just because, you know, Tim Allen is a much better Captain Kirk knockoff than Seth MacFarlane. Seth MacFarlane gets pretty annoying pretty fast. Oh, you motherfucker. It's a good thing I quick saved. This is why going legit is not the best idea. Oh, you little bastard. You little bastard. Now see, once you shoot this guy out of the way... the Family Guy Star Wars parodies weren't too bad. They were very affectionate, although I think I preferred the Robot Chicken ones more, though. The only problem I had with a lot of the parodies is they didn't really make mention of the EU at all. So some of the stuff they would talk about, it's like, well, you know, the EU explained that. And so it's like, the Empire is just going to give up after the Death Star 2 destruction? Well, no, it didn't. The war dragged on for about another 20 years, but whatever. Yes, I'm salty about that. kind of crazy to think that it's been 10 years since the EU got decanonized. That was something I was thinking about today. You know, today the media landscape is very different. Like, Star Wars used to be this sort of universal thing, and people would complain about, like, story quality versus any identity politics bullshit. People would have hated the Acolyte back in the good old days. They were like, wow, this is the most poorly written piece of tripe ever. Of course, then again, something like the Acolyte could have never been made until now anyway, but had it been made back then, people would have complained about it for its lack of quality. These days, it seems like you almost have to like certain types of media to be considered hip with the cool kids. Hardware Wars, I'm aware of it, but I don't think I've ever seen it. I've seen one weird Star Wars parody called Thumb Wars, where it's literally these people's thumbs. The one joke I remember that is where Darth Vader says, Luke, I don't think it's Luke, I think it's some other character's name, but it's like, I am your mother! It's like, oh my god! It's one thing that always annoyed me about like the modern day, going back to that bit of complaint, it's everything has to be all the identity politics. Like, for example, Dr. Aphra. Instead of saying, like, she's an archaeologist that works for Darth Vader, will she be able to save her soul? No. It's like, they spend like 3 minutes, like, describing... They made Thumb War, also made Kung Pao Enter the Fist. Wow. I am not surprised. That sounds like something he'd do. I have not seen that movie in ages either. I'm gonna have to look that up. But yeah, like, Dr. Aphra is basically this archaeologist that helps out Darth Vader. So that basically means she's a war criminal and should be punished after the war for being a fellow traveler, but whatever. But, like, the write-up for Dr. Aphra is, instead of just saying, like, archaeologist that works for, you know, Darth Vader, they list off all her identity politics first. And you can guess how many boxes that character checks. And it's not a bad character, I would guess. You know, you can have, like, somebody who works on the inside of the Empire that might show us something that we haven't seen before, but it's basically a character fangirling for what is effectively, well, not even effectively, is a war criminal. I mean, Darth Vader, for all his popularity, is a war criminal. He is somebody who is engaged in crimes against humanity, like, a lot. TV and finish. Okay. The dark side or the call to chaos. Really, they're both more or less the same. But chaos, it's going to be more dangerous. Like, with the dark side, you have to actually kind of want power to begin with. With chaos, you just kind of have to be around something that's chaotic to start hearing the whispers of Zinch and all the rest. And the dark side is sort of like an undifferentiated rage, whereas chaos, you know, you got 4 different aspects, you know. So Darth Vader would definitely be a follower of Korn, and he'd be pretty easily seduced to the worship of Korn. Exactly. Darth Vader is the ATF. But, yeah, like, Darth Vader, you know, he really should face a lot of punishment, but he died in the last battle, so I guess he gets away with it. One thing that's great about Princess Leia is in one of the novels, Darth Vader shows up as, like, a Force ghost, and she's basically like, just fuck off, man. You tortured me. You blew up my home planet. I'm not gonna forgive you. At the end of the book, she moves on from it, but it's like, yeah, that really is where Luke should be, too. Yeah, I could definitely see the Impy in Star Wars being a follower of Zinch. Although he wouldn't know it. He'd be too, he would be too arrogant to see it, which is how Zinch works. That's how chaos works. You do the work of chaos without actually knowing it, which is why it's such a great faction. So, yeah, is that? Keep your lightsaber at your side. Exactly. Good and him is stupid even with the added lore. I mean, it pretty much is. I mean, I get that, like... Now, is this gonna work? Okay, so this is giving me that same glitch. Again, I don't know what is with that. that door is supposed to open, but it doesn't for some reason. And I'm not sure why. Like, I get that sometimes when I play this game with RetroArch. If you play it with, like, EPSXE, it won't do that. But with RetroArch, it does. So, we're kind of screwed on that. I don't know what is with that glitch. Nurgle getting his claws into Vader. He's not... Vader really isn't into that sort of thing. He's not really into the whole decay. So, since that is broken again, I'm going to go into the cheat menu here. I'm going to get off of clone research and just go to the next level. I'm not sure why that it keeps doing that. But that door is glitched and won't open. At least with RetroArch, but not EPSXE. I don't know if all those political labels really mean anything these days, just because, you know, like, what exactly does any of it mean, man? Okay, I think we're playing as Destepido now. Definitely exacerbate all the health problems. Yeah, I guess I could see that. Maybe Nurgle would be like, we'll grow your lungs back, but they'll also be filled with horrible, horrible spores. And so every time you breathe, people's lungs will melt out of their bodies. And yes, that would happen in 40K. But, you know, it's like the political labels. What does that actually mean? Like, what is a conservative? Arguably, from a classical perspective, a conservative would be somebody who wants more government power, whereas a liberal would want less. But in today's world, those meanings have been swapped. So it's like, For me, I consider myself somebody who is open-minded and a free thinker that is not taken in by propaganda or pretty words. Not exactly the most succinct way, but, you know, you get the idea. Because, like, when you start taking on, like, political labels, you kind of take on... Look at how many fucking xenomorphs are here. You start taking on all the baggage, you know. Obviously, I'm not a blue hair, and there's a lot to like about certain other political movements. But do you want to take on that baggage? That's a lot of xenomorphs. That is pretty cool about this game, and that it can have all these enemies on screen at one time. But man, if you don't got infinite health... Oh. See, that's the thing, though. For me, I've been around what the media would label conservatives my entire life, and I never acted like that. I do understand why people would be would dislike conservatives, though. I just have never been around, I guess you could say, the bad ones or the annoying ones. The people I've known in my life have all been pretty chill, I guess you could say. So, you know, it's just one of those things. If you're around people that were constantly, you know, stumping for their political causes, that would get pretty annoying. That's just one of the things about my upbringing, is that my grandfather was never like, you have to believe this way. He never did that. He was always like, you have to find your own way. And I did. And that was not a way to having blue hair, that's for sure. It's just one of... God damn it. Fucking face huggers. I think for me, though, like, it really just depends on your perspective of, like, what are these different political... Okay, I might as well not even... The only problem with this is, the more this happens, it's like, what's the... It's cool. I call it self-indulgent in the review. But it's like, okay, we're dead. We might as well just quit. I didn't happen to, say... Oh, I did. Good. I have not seen Alien Romulus yet. I have not seen it. I don't really want to see it, just because it's going to be more bad Aliens garbage. And I heard that it's okay, but do I really want to sit through, you know, an hour-and-a-half long movie of basically young British kids running around a space station, like, screaming at each other? It's like, oh my god, it's an alien! Oh, that's what that does. I thought that was just a better health pack. I did not know that. The corpse of the alien from the first movie. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Gotta have my member berries. And no, I don't have any auto docks. I had to cheat my way past a glitch that will pop up in the retro when you emulate via RetroArch. But yeah, all the political stuff. Used to be nobody was political, though. Like, there'd always be, like, one person in a group that was political, and that was it. And I remember many years ago being in a gaming group where there was one political, you know, person there. And, like, you know the kind of politics I'm talking about. The blue hair kind, although people back in the 2010s didn't have the blue hairs. But the kind of person who would support Bane in, like, Dark Knight Rises and stuff like that. And they were about as annoying back then as they are today, but there'd be, like, one of them. Realistically, the thrusters from that shuttle should have melted that xenomorph. But, whatever, you know. It was the 70s. It's just what you did. Be nice if I could get a new weapon, but whatever. Yeah, that is effectively what RetroArch is. I need to do a video on that at some point. RetroArch allows you to play just about any of the classic games. It doesn't do it perfectly, but it does it good enough that it's more efficient to just run it. Like, it has a lot less configuration. But since there's a lot less configuration, it's going to be a lot less accurate. Well, I say a lot less. It's going to be a little less accurate. Thanos was right. Yeah, that is always annoying. It's like, they always think that these people would be right, so long as they're not the ones on the chopping block, but RetroArch's pretty good. If you want to, like, get really accurate with the PlayStation games, there's EPSXE, but that takes a lot more configuration. So we've got a glitch that broke one of the doors in a previous level, so we had to just cheat ahead. That wouldn't happen in EPSXE. And most of the time it doesn't happen in RetroArch, but it just kind of depends on the game. And sometimes RetroArch will play games that EPSXE won't play, like Spider-Man. The Spider-Man PS1 game won't run with EPSXE for some reason, but it does run here. Don't ask me. And yeah, they are kind of lucky it's acid-proof, or maybe that's just these are low-T xenomorphs. You know, their acid's just not that potent. Is it better than dedicated emulators? No, RetroArch is not better than dedicated emulators. But it's one of those things where it's not better, but it's good enough. You just launch RetroArch, you find your game and play. You don't have to, like, configure anything. And I use it for streaming because it's a little easier for OBS to pick this up versus some of the dedicated ones. So, like, for example, like, if you wanted to do, like, a Super Nintendo game, you've got a lot of options. Like, you've got SNES 9X, which is pretty old now. You got Messen S, and some of those will be a little better than RetroArch, but just running, you know, RetroArch with Super Nintendo games, you get mostly the same experience. You know, I understand that, like, the hero, the main character, could die in a series that can't be sequelized. So, like, you wouldn't want Luke to die in his first battle. That would be kind of, you'd want to see where his character would go. Let's see, psycho background, David. And yeah, Thanos, it's crazy, and they finally figured that out for Endgame, but having a main character die, you know, it's like, if you can't do anything with that character, then okay, but, like, would you want Iron Man to die in his first movie? But having a character die heroically, that could work. I think, like, a 40K movie where, like, a character you don't want to develop further could die. You know, like, you develop, like, say, a Space Marine, you know, and you make him really cool, and then have him die heroically, like, saving a side character or something. That could work. In a rant about how Disney had a child trafficking. I think that's one of those things where anybody who's overly political in a non-political setting can get annoying, be it, you know, left or right. It's like, I don't think that guy's necessarily wrong, and there's definitely a possibility where that could have happened, but, like, if you're trying to shoot some orcs as, you know, like, an elf, that's not exactly an appropriate thing to say. It's like, alright, Legolas, shoot that orc in the face. And then, like, the guy playing Legolas turns to you and is like, have you heard about this child trafficking ring at Disney World? Shoot the orc in the face! It's like, yeah, but, like, it's a big problem. It'd be just as bad as if some blue hair was like, have you thought about global warming today? Perhaps we should shut off the air conditioner. And yeah, a lot of movie heroes do end up dying. which is kind of annoying. But half the time they're barely... Come on, Ripley. Can you move a little faster? You're not 70 in the movie. John Wick 4. I did not know John Wick bought it. But John Wick's a bit of a different character. I'm talking... When I think of like a main character, I think of like Luke Skywalker or Captain Kirk or something like that. Characters you want to see grow and develop over time. Whereas John Wick, there's only so much you can do with him. Because like he's like an assassin or something. It's not like he's going to stop being an assassin. So he doesn't really have too many places to grow. It's not like he's going to suddenly realize that, like, maybe killing people for money is wrong. Because if you do that, you have no movie. Yeah, I've never really had, like, a political... Why do people keep messaging me? I never really had, like, somebody get overly political when I'm, like, doing something. Actually, no, I take that lie back. I did have that happen once. A number of years ago, I forget what I was doing at the moment, but I was doing something. And somebody just started screeching at me about some bullshit political thing. I can't remember what it was, though. Don't tell me that door's broken. Petrarch, why do you want to do this to me? Usually Retroarch works a lot better than this. Exactly, and it's not as though, like, the Richie Rich types are going to give up everything. I mean, consider that John Kerry flew to the climate conference in his private jet. So, something brief that leaves... Okay, it's implied that he does die. I mean, like, okay, I got a good example. Call a guy Mamic. Zip. I've been to a GameStop in I don't know how long. Let's see. Talking about, like, heroes dying off, though, a good example of a hero dying in a pretty good way is B.J. Blazkowicz in Wolfenstein: The New Order. Had they left him dead, that would be pretty good. It would be pretty emotional. Those sides sealing their way in their own echo chamber. Back in your teens. Oh, dear. Man, I'm getting old. Gonna be 36 next year. Just a couple months. Usually when it comes to, like, woke versus anti-woke, did I really go in a big-ass circle for no reason? Yep, I did. I could have just shot that. Oh, you fucking facehugger. Nope. You're not gonna facehug me. I do not give consent. See, the good thing about where I live is there are political people here, but they're not obnoxious about it. Talking about D&D, I'm actually going to try some of that soon. And I've been very curious about this whole D&D thing. The last time I tried it, it was the most boring thing I ever sat through, but I'm very tempted just to see what it's like. Officially dead and buried. Of course, movie, see his funeral, but they're seeing where his dog looks off in a direction. That's kind of neat for a death. I mean, it's kind of like, did Spike Spiegel die at the end of Cowboy Bebop? You know, the show ends with bang, so we don't know either. That's where that, you know, now that I think of it, a main character can die. Once you get to the end of a main character story, I guess it's okay for them to die if the story calls for it. You know, so like Spike dying, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. You know, BJ dying at the end of New Order, I'm good with that. You can have that, but death has to mean something. Like, you know, Jake Skywalker just sort of dying in that god-awful Last Jedi. Now that was bad. Not obnoxious people in Grand Rapids. Ugh. Tried out the new test build for Brutal Doom. Oh. I've not been following that, though. I think giving a legacy character a good death is not necessarily a bad thing. But at the same time, I don't really like the idea of, like, a legacy character. Because, like, that's what you're trying to, like, make an ancient actor somehow work 30 years after the fact. That's one of the reasons why the EU works so well is they didn't have to try to fit in Harrison Ford's dotage or Carrie Fisher's dotage either. The thing about the Star Wars universe is Carrie Fisher stayed hot way longer. I mean, no offense, but just saying. One thing that's kind of funny is I've never actually sat through Beetlejuice 1. Like, I've seen clips from it, and I've seen, like, half of the movie on TV once, but I've never actually sat through the entire movie. And so, like, Beetlejuice having a legacy sequel 20 years after the fact and having it not being too terrible, I find amazing. Because that's not exactly a story I think you could really sequelize. Grander roaming through downtown. Okay, there's the door. No, but that doesn't work. Okay. Oh, I've been running. Okay. Yeah, Houston's pretty good. I mean, Houston is a weird city to a certain extent. You sort of have like a... you have sort of like half and half when it comes to the political makeup of the city. And so, it's just one of those things. Most of the time, people keep their mouths shut about politics, which is good. Which is good. I mean, you can usually tell, but most people act fairly civil. Most of the time, at least. What I still remember that's kind of funny is there were some Bernie bros that were actually quite nice. I think it just depends on, like, what sort of state you live in. Texas is usually seen as, like, this really conservative state, and it is, but the level of... It's kind of interesting. I've talked to people in like, California, and that state, oh my god, sounds terrible, but for reasons that you might not think. Like, apparently, the blue hairs are really bad, but the so-called conservatives are just as bad. Or they do pretty much the same thing, but just from a different perspective. So it's like, that state is fucked. It's folder pocket that's very sleek, black nylon. Nice. I never really got into knives. I've got like a knife, and that's it. That I use to open up packages. That's about all I do with knife stuff. I was more of a, and still am, a gun guy. So, okay. Do we need to like hit something in here? I don't remember. Cartoon of Beetlejuice. Yeah, I've actually seen a little bit of that. I need to watch that at some point, because if it's a 90s cartoon, it's at least going to be entertaining. Anything up here? Just shoot the roof, right? That's how it works. That reminds me, I watched some Han Solo's death was kind of Harrison Ford's fault. Yeah, Harrison did not like Han Solo. Whereas in the EU, Han Solo died of old age. Said if he'd fly me out there. Well, yeah, because California is pretty messed up. What's funny, though, is I've actually been in a relationship with 2 girls from California over the years. Oh, those cooking videos. You know, I've wanted to do some more of those, but I just never really had the opportunity. There's just not as much time to do other stuff like that. But I was watching some gun fails videos recently. Okay, there we go. And I gotta tell you, the okay, why didn't that open? Is that another one of those things where that's not gonna work for some reason? Ugh. I might have to make an addendum to the video I already did. It's like it did not do this before. When I reviewed the when I got the footage for the review, like, it was working. I don't know what's going on here. Or maybe that's the wrong door. I don't know. But yeah, watching some gun fail videos. One thing I noticed is the magazine drop safety is not really a good safety. Yeah, it's I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. RetroArch is not... I'm getting glitches on these doors for some reason. There's probably something I need to change in the settings. At least not from the videos I've seen, like the gameplay videos. I've not seen any of those. I think this is just a RetroArch thing. I think. Usually, PS1 emulates perfectly. Usually. Unless maybe that's not what opens up that door. Let's find out, because I think that opens up this door. Okay, so they didn't open up that, so maybe it's a different door we gotta go to. But yeah, all those gun fails, though, usually is with the mag drop safety. Somebody will put a magazine in their gun that they think is empty, and then they'll pull the trigger for some reason. I don't know why people are filming themselves like playing around with guns. Never really had a desire to do that, but whatever. And they'll end up popping off a shot into their ceiling. At least it went in the ceiling. At least it went in the ceiling, you know. But the mag drop safety gives people a false sense of security, which is not good because, you know, people need to realize that guns are not safe. They're not supposed to be safe. And so what you want to do is, you know, and they don't play around with firearms. Just don't. Cybertron Starscream. There's a lot of good figures coming out, especially from the Chi-Coms. So I got my YOLO Park Megatron. But let's see. Yeah, mag drop safety is just a bad design all around. I mean, I'm sure they've caused more harm than they've actually prevented. Because basically, novices or stupid people, like, you'd be like, it's safe, blam. It's like, yeah. Yeah. That's the thing, like, we used to call them accidental discharges, but they're negligent discharges. That's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. If you're going to own firearms, don't play around with them. We used to call it fluffy the gun. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. If you're going to load or unload a firearm, make sure you do it in a safe location. Well, I mean, a knife is a little different. Like, yeah, you might cut yourself, but it's not like you're going to be playing around with it and you accidentally stab yourself in your carotid artery or something. That's a little less dangerous. But all those gun fails, though, it's like, this is stuff that's so easily preventable that, you know, it's like, come on, people. Okay, so the TV's still out. This is a lot of these people are either new to it or they don't. And yeah. And most firearms, if you drop them, unless you drop them like right on the hammer, they're not just going to go off if you drop it, unless it's like a SIG, but whatever. Yeah, apparently SIG is not as good as advertised. Okay, so either that glitched or I can't find the door. I don't know. It's like, access was granted, but that door didn't open. Weird. I might have to actually pull down that video and re-edit that. Because I didn't have this problem when I recorded the initial gameplay footage, and I used RetroArch. Bizarre. I'm gonna blame the chat. I'm just gonna blame the chat. It's gotta be the chat. Racked a slot on a pistol and it went off. His finger wasn't on the trigger or anything else for that matter. Okay, that could be an accident too, because there are some guns where that can happen. I think it's where you have like an inertial firing pin. But I think that's very rare, though, that such a thing would happen. A gravity knife. I'm not sure what that is. I'm not as familiar with knives as I am with firearms. And there is going to be a new gun video next year. Gonna do a video on the Ruger Security 6 revolver. Snapped up one of those recently for a pretty cheap price. It was cheap mainly because it was somebody's old hunting revolver, and so it was all. The ship's computer, eh? I'm afraid I can't do that, Dave. Yeah, shut the fuck up, hell. The blade deploys through gravity. Oh, fancy. I don't think I've ever seen one of those. Now this pulse rifle isn't quite right because it actually has, you know, cartridge casings flying out, which it really shouldn't have, but whatever. Okay, now that door worked. I don't know, maybe that isn't a glitch. Maybe instead I just couldn't find the way to open the door and I thought it was a glitch. I don't know. It seems to be working right now. Single 6. Nice. Yeah, I got one of those myself. A classic little 22 caliber. Stainless steel with, pearl-looking grips, I guess you could say. It's plastic, but whatever. I'd rather it be plastic because it won't crack. Driving the military off their guns. I don't know if bullpups are really that good, though. Ow. Stop shooting me, you bastards. Man, if I did not have infinite health, I would have died. Now you gotta wonder, though. What poor bastard got armed with just a pistol? That's just sad, dude. Who did you piss off to get armed with that? Yeah, you gotta wonder, like, in any sort of reality here, like, that movie's not reality. It's not supposed to be reality. Security enabled. Oh, crap, I didn't want to do that. Shut it off. Uh-oh. Oops. But, like, in any sort of reality, though, if you're on a ship with a bunch of xenomorphs, would you really want to just shoot some random guy? Would anybody really want to attack Ripley? I mean, really, I know we're not playing as Ripley right now, but, like, wouldn't you want to get as many dudes with guns as you could so you could shoot the, you know, monsters? Bip. Yeah, but see, ivory cracks. And is ridiculously expensive. Hey, you take that back. I'm not from New Orleans. If I'm gonna go to one of those places, it's gonna be in LaGrange, damn it. Haven't you heard the song? ZZ Top. I actually saw them live. That is such an old thing, though. Sadly, I think one of the members of ZZ Top is dead now. From old age, I think. Or it was cancer. It's one or the other. And the venue where I saw ZZ Top, now, it still exists, but it's long since been defunct. But I actually saw ZZ Top at the Astrodome. Now, if you're not from Houston, you'll have no idea what an Astrodome even implies. But the Astrodome is like this really beloved sports stadium. They used to have concerts and shit there. It was pretty awesome, actually. It was considered the 8th wonder of the world in 1976. So, yeah. Yeah, oh crap. Fucking. I'm gonna save. Oh crap. Blast him! Alright, where's that? Yeah, the song is literally LaGrange by ZZ Top. It's a very popular song. It's been used in a lot of movies. It's pretty catchy. They're talking about the Chicken Ranch. Oh wait a minute, these aren't alarms, it's just lasers. Yeah, Ripley, you can handle it. No, this is Destepido. Yeah, Destepido, you can handle it. We got infinite health. AR style rifle would take less training. That, and you can clear a jam a lot faster. And a lot easier. Exactly, because the Imperium is not stupid. Okay, is this door broken too? Or am I just not playing the game right? I'm gonna blame the chat, because I can. But yeah, LaGrange, talking about the Chicken Ranch where there was a bunch of prostitution going on. Ultimately, LaGrange would get shut down by a local celebrity, actually. Once again, if you're not from Houston, you'll have no idea what I'm talking about, but there's a local celebrity named Marvin Zindler, who actually inspired my outro, who shut down the, why hello there, Triple X Medic. Short controlled burst. But yeah, Marvin Zindler would shut down the chicken, or get it shut down, because he would report on it. That's what got his claim to fame. Personally, I would never visit a house of ill repute, mainly because I actually have standards. Just saying. And would not want to use the village bicycle. I want my own bicycle, damn it! One worm story where Space Marine returns the stones. Yep, I remember that one. Yeah, they're making the Imperium a little less dumb in places, which I really like. And yeah, Thanksgiving was last week. That's one thing about, okay, maybe those doors aren't broken. Maybe I just forgot where I'm supposed to go. Because, like, that shut down this thing. Ugh. I don't know. This game's a little confusing. Or I could just blame the chat again. Why not? But the Imperium really should be a little smarter than it is. Okay, well, that's the TV room. At least I know that's the starting point for each one of these levels. Vent in the lasers. Okay, so the door wasn't broken. I just didn't know where to go. And also, if you're in a burning building, you should actually try to escape the burning building instead of trying to fight the enemy. Because, yeah. But then again, this is a game, and, well, if the enemy doesn't attack, it's going to be kind of boring. So, right now we're playing as a guy named Destepido. He was a random side character from the movie. Sadly, he doesn't make it out. Played by a character actor who I think would later get a lot of legitimate fame playing one of the characters in Breaking Bad, but I don't remember which character in Breaking Bad he played. He was also a Star Trek actor. Man, everybody was in Star Trek. He played a random troop in Siege of AR-88 or something like that. It was a Deep Space Nine war episode where he played kind of a twitchy soldier. And he was pretty good in that. Let's see, where is the vent? There it is. Into the garbage chute, flyboy. Don't really... Oh, crap. Oh, crap. I'm gonna blame Rainick this time, because I was reading that... I almost got face-hugged. Bip. Tuco Salamanca. Oh, I remember that character. I haven't seen Breaking Bad in well over 11 years now, so... But that's where I guess he got his major claim to fame. To think he started in this movie. Yeah, he ended up getting killed by the newborn Xeno at the end of the movie. Ends up getting like his skull crushed. It's like, oh, he didn't deserve that death. Yeah, the forward assist. Now, evidently the AR-15 does need a forward assist, and it does actually provide a legitimate use. If I'm not mistaken, Mr. Rittenhouse had to use a forward assist to not die, so proves that it, god damn it, that it does at least have some purpose. Okay, there we go. The Mailman and Gremlins 2. I did not know that. I was unaware of that. Okay, come on, facehuggers, just pop out. There you go. And then now I think that guy is now more famous because he played Moff Gideon in Mandalorian. Even though Mandalorian Season 3 was absolutely god-awful. Hey, Season 3 was terrible. Although I will say the one of those new stormtroopers did look pretty good. Oh yeah, well you see Triple X, the forward assist for the AR-15 is often considered useless, or it'll be or it'll cause more problems than it solves. Evidently, the guy who invented the AR-15 thought it was worthless. There's been a number of people talking about how bad it is, but the reputation of the forward assist kind of got a shot, so to speak, in the arm, so to speak, thanks to Kyle Rittenhouse. Essentially, we see on camera him use a forward assist to get his AR into battery as he's almost, you know, murdered. So, evidently, it does have a purpose. So, yeah. It's kind of interesting how a lot of these actors have to work for decades to get any sort of fame, and it's always kind of random, like what will finally make somebody famous. It's kind of like the guy who played Walter White. He was in a lot of different things. He was even in Seinfeld as a side character, and then finally he got... And he was also the dad in Malcolm in the Middle. But the Walter White character would forever seal his fame. Breaking Bad's not bad. It's not nearly as pretentious as a lot of those other crime dramas. Yeah, for me the AR is a perfectly fine firearm, but it's still just kind of boring in places. It's not as cool as like a, you know, M1. Yeah, I remember hearing about that. Street Fighter 2, the animated movie. Oh, man. That's actually a pretty good movie. I don't know which version I like the most, though. The Japanese version does have a particular scene in it. But the dub is pretty entertaining, too, though. If you've never seen Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, I highly recommend it. It's very different from the live-action Street Fighter movie. It is very anime. The dub is hilarious in many places. Like, the dub has some really piss poor acting, though. Like, man, the guy they got to do Ken did such a bad job. Like, I'm telling you, that is such a... He did such a bad job, I can't even begin to tell you how bad he did. Like, that has got to be the worst performance I've ever heard. But it's funny in how bad it is. But the Japanese, of course, has better dialogue and voice acting, but... And also it has Chun-Li taking a shower naked, you know? I mean, that's just what you did back in the 90s. PSA Saber 10. Yeah, the PSA Saber line is not bad. I think PSA is rapidly becoming the new Ruger of firearms, although Ruger still is pretty strong too. One of the other things that was going against the forward assist was forgotten weapons. Ian McCullum was talking about the forward assist and his What Would Stoner Do rifle. Doesn't have one because it's believed that such a thing is no longer necessary, just as added weight and complexity. Become an idiot, leave your home doing a... Well, what ended up happening, though, is Kyle Rittenhouse was trying to defend somebody's used car lot, from what I recall. And, you know, it's one of those things where if you're just a random guy talking about it, it's like, oh, he's trying to defend his used car lot, who cares? But, like, those cars get torched, that guy's business goes down, you know, he loses his house, he loses everything he's worked for. So having somebody there to defend it, that's kind of a necessity, especially if law enforcement isn't, you know, doing their job. And so, yeah, he went there with intent to defend that car lot. I think the rioters were trying to burn it down or something, and then Kyle Rittenhouse ended up getting chased, and that's when the whole thing ended up happening. So it wasn't really, he wasn't dumb. He was actually doing a legitimate service for that guy. And it's just one of those things that he ended up getting smeared because nobody wanted to know the real answer. And there's all kinds of lies going around about that. That's the problem with trying to learn anything, because there's so much propaganda around everything and everyone. You know? But Kyle Rittenhouse really didn't do anything wrong, you know? He was trying to defend his friend's business, you know, and had those cars been torched, he would have... That guy would have lost everything. And it's like the rioters chose to burn it down, and that's not good. And yeah, his attackers were legitimately hardened criminals. Like, they were bad guys. And he was just a kid. It's one of those things where that was a case very much like one that happened a year prior, I think, where there was a bunch of Catholic school students just standing, and the CNN was complaining about them being Morossicisms when that really didn't happen. You know, it's one of those things. And if we don't follow politics or really... Okay, that was legitimately creepy. It's like, what, did Shodan show up or something? Ooh, he took his head off. But, like, if you don't follow politics, you wouldn't know anything about this. Because all the various media outlets really didn't want to, you know, give people the full story. Spaz 12. Well, actually, in that video, the reason why that Spaz 12 jams so much is because it's very ammo sensitive. You have, like with any semi-auto shotgun, you have to use the proper ammo for it, because basically with a semi-auto shotgun, you have to have strong enough ammo to cycle the action. So if you're using cheapo birdshot or something like that, you know, it's not going to work quite right. The Spaz 12 isn't bad. Entering to win any sort of competition is always a bit problematic, but, you know. Yeah, they did sue the news for slander, which is good, because that was bullshit they had to put up with. Batten down the hatches. Well, he didn't really, like, he was protecting a friend's car lot. That's his, you know, business. That's his livelihood. Like, if he loses that, he loses everything. You could batten down the hatches, yeah, but when you step out and your business is burnt to the ground, you know, you won't have the hatch anymore. Your hatch will be taken by the bank. It's like you have to be able to defend your home and all your stuff, otherwise you don't really have it, you know? And if law enforcement isn't going to do it, you don't really have much of a choice. I mean, yeah, God damn it. You know, like, yeah, you know, I don't think he was looking for trouble. I think he was trying to defend a place, and a bunch of crazies rocked up, and he did what he had to do to not die. That's the main thing, you know. Insurance will only cover so much, and that's the thing that the media said, was like, oh, don't they have insurance? Like, well, insurance isn't going to cover everything. And at the end of the day, do you know how much insurance would have to cover if an entire lot of cars were torched? If just each car cost, like, say, $30,000, and they're going to cost a lot more than that, we're talking, you know, hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars in losses. And yeah, the insurance might cover that, but he's going to be paying for that further down the line if the insurance pays for it at all. Because the insurance can just say no. I mean, I don't know if y'all know that, but the insurance can just say no, we're not going to pay it. Because, you know, it's the real world. It's just one of those things, you know. The media likes to say, like, oh, it doesn't matter, but it does. It's your livelihood. If your business is burnt to the ground, the insurance is not going to pay for all of it, and it might pay for none of it. And so you're screwed. Your life is over. That was a very creepy scene in Alien Resurrection where Ripley finds the clones, and there's like, there's one that is definitely not a fat fuel scene. Well, I guess unless you go on DeviantArt, where like you see like one Ripley boob, but it's from like that half Xeno, half Ripley like abomination. It's like, ugh. Although Ripley, instead of like flash frying her, maybe you should have just, you know, won to the temple. I'm just saying. And yeah, like a lot of those insurance companies like have posted pretty big losses because they're not designed to cover stuff quite like that. So yeah, it's one of those things. The problem with Ian from Forgotten Weapons is he's rich. And when people get rich, they kind of forget that money has to come from somewhere. You know, you got to remember, Ian McCollum is a millionaire. And so he's not thinking about, like, you know, where his next meal's coming from. He did start from, I think, somewhat, I don't think he even started from, like, humble means. Like, I think his dad was rich, too. But rich people don't know where money comes from. I'm just saying. Some do, but a lot of them don't. So, I don't know if Ian McCollum's actually a bad guy, but... Oh, it'd be nice to be a YouTube millionaire, right? Don't have to get up at 5 in the morning every day. But, you know, Ian McCollum's rich. He doesn't know. I don't think he's, like, woke or anything. I think he's just one of those people that's like, oh dear, he should not have done that. Don't they have people for that sort of thing? I mean, like, his dad was, like, a professional writer, I think. Or at the very least, he had enough money to have, like, an extensive Japanese firearm collection, so, yeah. And I think Ian is also probably not really politically savvy, either. You know, this is a guy who wanted to live off-grid for whatever reason and absolutely hated it. Grenade launcher! Okay, well, I thought that is, like, the slowest grenade launcher in the fucking world. Okay, well, we'll try to thump it. Like how it's literally just a grenade. Oh, it's hilarious. It's just a hand grenade, like, plooped out of there. It's like, that's not really how a grenade launcher works, but whatever. Yeah, I mean, in the real world, it's like, well, if he wasn't there, he wouldn't have had to face, all the legal repercussions. You know, I watched that trial live. Like, I was legitimately worried for that poor kid. But, you know, his life would have been protected. You know, he would have been fine had he not been there. But at the same time, you wanted to help out. You know, he was legitimately protecting someone's business and livelihood from being destroyed by a bunch of psychopaths. So, to me, he's somebody worthy of respect, you know. He chose to put his life on the line, and it's something that is not all that common these days. I mean, it makes sense, you know, like you try to help somebody, and you're going to jail forever, whereas these other people ain't gonna get charged. Because here's the thing, there was one of those psychopaths did point a gun at that kid. No jail time, didn't even get picked up. You know, what kind of sense does that make? You know, the legal system is pretty messed up these days. It's sort of like the court of public opinion. You know, half of it's the law, half of it's, you know, what's the news saying, you know, what's social media saying. That's the thing about the real world. It's annoying. I'd rather just live on Mars in an Elon dome. Oh, they'd probably be just as bad. Yep, it's all a bunch of crap. And the sad part is, it's not, this is going to sound weird, it's not as bad as it used to be, though. Social media is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it's helped society. On the other hand, it's hurt society. You know, there's a lot more craziness, but at the same time, in the past, you only knew what the media would tell you. You only knew what the news told you. Now you can actually go around like all the media narratives and find something approaching the truth. Because, like, imagine if all you had was, like, CNN or MSNBC, and that's all there was, like, back in the 90s. So they would lie about this stuff. I remember watching, like, it was on YouTube, like, an old TV broadcast about a guy named Colonel Jeff Cooper. He's the guy who invented modern shooting. Believe it or not, if you use two hands on a pistol, you can hit better than with just one. And he was the guy who invented that. He had a school that still exists. He's dead. He's been dead since 2006. But he had a school called Gunsight, and the media was slamming it as like they teach people how to shoot people there. And that's literally how they reported it. And then you actually watch the news report, and it makes Gunsight look really cool. Ollie North, that's another one that they hated on for a while. But yeah, Jeff Cooper and that other guy, the revolver dude. I know who it is. Military Juanta, it's just as bad. It won't change anything, except you now have like a guy that's backed by the military, which is imagine. Here's the thing: the easiest way to point at it, the easiest way to disparage everyone of the notion that like one guy running things is bad. Imagine if you imagine like a Karen. Okay, imagine a Karen, if you will. Somebody who doesn't know anything, but they think they know everything. Now imagine they're dictator for life. You can't vote her out. You can't do anything. Is that what you want? Is that what you want? Because there's no guarantee you're going to get like the God Emperor of Mankind. More likely you're going to get some middle manager who somehow managed to cheat their way into power, and now you can't get rid of them. They're government for life. So a military Juanta, imagine a Karen, but now he's backed by the military. Yeah. Same way with the monarchy. You know, like do you want a king who is like horribly inbred, and you can't get rid of him till he either dies or abdicates? Just think about that. Just think about that. Democracy may not be perfect, the Republican form of government in which the United States has may not be perfect with the Electoral College and such, but you can vote people out. You know, you can vote people out. You know, the Electoral College has a purpose. It means that, you know, small states still have a say, and they should. I mean, would you want to live in a country where you have no say? That's really why representative government is so important, is it gives everybody a say, from the stupid to the smart, you know. Everybody, because you got to live here. You got to live in your country, so should you not have a say about how it's run? You know, not everybody's going to be smart about it, but at the end of the day, what's smart? What's stupid? It depends on the eye of the beholder. And yeah, those 3 states would be California, New York, and I can't think of the third one now, but it would be California and New York. It's like, you should always have a say in what your government does, because you gotta live here. And that's why, like, a monarchy is stupid. It's like, does the king really know anything, or is he an inbred moron, you know? I don't know if I'd go that far, Silver Wings, about democracy. Democracy is just, you know, democracy is tyranny of the majority. It's where, like, let's say, I think a good example is actually from the Orville. There is a episode where you've got social media democracy, where if everybody hates somebody, they get killed. So, like, if the episode has one of the characters from the Orville basically make an ass out of himself, and he gets like 1,000 downvotes, and they're gonna kill him because he has 1,000 downvotes. That's democracy in a nutshell. A republic is where you have, I think I mentioned this in the previous stream, but I'll mention it again, where you have the idea of, you got like a majority rule, but the minority will still have their rights. The Constitution limits the government. It doesn't give you rights. It limits what the government can do. At least in the United States. So if you're in another country, well, you're kind of out of luck. But the idea is that democracy and Republican form of government kind of go hand in hand to create governance that, while not perfect, is better than the alternative. It's where people will have a say, but they won't have so much of a say that, you know, people end up being oppressed. Now, it sort of ends up happening anyway, but it's not as bad as it might otherwise be. Because the founding fathers of the U.S., they did the best they could, you know, back in the 1700s. And for the 1700s, it was nothing short of extraordinary. The idea that there wouldn't be one guy controlling everything? Whatever next. Alien 3 is terrible. Alien Resurrection is a great guilty pleasure. Who do you think it was? Santa Claus? Believe it or not, the character of Reese, the guy in the wheelchair, is French. I would have never guessed it. Represents the government passing anti-gun laws, but that's gonna happen, you know. Politicians will lie. That's kind of what they get paid to do. You know, it's just the nature of the business. If you get rid of all law to punish the devil, what happens when they come for you? And yeah, I ripped that off from a British guy. There was a British blogger I read that said that. I thought that was pretty good. It's gonna happen. You're gonna have bad politicians, but if you get rid of politicians in general, then you're left with a king, and guess what? He's gonna have all the power and you're gonna have none. At least you can vote that shitty politician out. You can primary them. And I get the feeling a lot of rhinos are gonna get put out to pasture. But yeah, like, it's always weird when you've got like say a British or like a French actor speaking a perfectly acceptable American accent. Yep, you gotta protect all the speeches. Because if you don't, what's considered hate speech, it could be anything. It could literally be anything. That was not Robin Williams. Although it'd be hilarious if it was. You know, like, Alien Resurrection had some funny characters. I'm not sure if Aliens needed a bunch of funny characters, but that's the difference between Alien Resurrection and Alien 3. Alien 3, bald British guys. Alien Resurrection, you got Ron Perlman, you got the French dude, you got, you know, Winona Ryder. You got even General Perez. You know, that character was cool. He was funny. He had really hairy shoulders. Like, there's a lot to like about Alien Resurrection. The thing that really kills it is the French stuff, though. Like the alien womb, because you do see the alien queen give birth. I don't think I needed that. I remember watching that movie. What's funny enough is I watched that movie with my family when I was like 11 or 12. We were out at my grandparents' land, and we were watching that on VHS. And my mother, me and my grandfather watch movies like that all the time, and you know we didn't care. But my mother was like grossed out by the xenomorph queen giving birth to the newborn. It's like, yeah, it's weird. It's a weird movie. Yeah, a wooden planet. Democracy is 2 wolves and a sheep. Yep. Sheep has a Mac 10. I kind of want a Mac 10. Although, you know, I'd like to see the NFA repealed. I'm just saying. Well, you know, Cyrus, like, if you don't know, you don't know. So, see, I don't really fault people for not knowing. I mean, you have to know to even look at it, you know. On the one hand, when you like look at some of these talking heads that like, you know, back in 2010, I voted for a certain politician. It's like, and then now they're like the red pilliest red pills. It's like, yeah, welcome to, you know, 2010, people. Yeah, a lot of BS laws need to get repealed. And it would be nice if the NFA got repealed, you know. A lot of gun control laws were specifically designed to be legitimately racist, you know. There's a lot of stuff like that people don't know about. But, you know, behind a wooden planet, how do you build a planet out of wood? You know, that's a good question. How would you build a planet out of wood? I don't know. There was another script I read about for Alien 3 where, like, a whole space station becomes, like, a space station xenomorph, like fucking mecha xeno. Like, what? You know, and then you got the book, like Alien Earth Hive, or the comic. It started out as a comic, then became a book. But, like, where it's like, okay, we're just gonna have the xenomorphs invade Earth and, like, kill everyone. Like, how hard would that have been to make? I mean, well, just do that. That's what people wanted anyway. But they didn't do it. It's like, there's making an Alien sequel should be the easiest thing ever. But they tried to overcomplicate it or over-artistic it. Oh, that frame rate. The PS1 is not used to that. Had the power to disband the ATF. I'm not sure if they can do that, but they can definitely change some of the regulations. Told I would take the basic plot and try to tell a better version of the story. That's a good idea. The Second Amendment was indeed supposed to defend against, like, it's tyrannical government, but very much against the British. Because the British tried to take everybody's guns and their powder and everything, and, well, that didn't go too well. We ended up using it. You see, that's the thing. Like, people talk about, you know, like, boogaloos and stuff like that, but the reality is firearms and firearms ownership is all about a deterrence effect. You know, it's like, it's much harder to, like, do a mass arrest if you got to worry about what people have, you know? That's really what it's for. Nobody wants a big boog because, well, people would, well, die. The thing about a boogaloo that no one talks about is just, those trucks stop rolling, there is no food. And most people will die from starvation and starvation-related diseases, and nobody wants that. Unless, like, you're a psycho, you know. So, the guns are there just as a deterrent. It's like, well, maybe we shouldn't pass the colossal salary grab. That might end badly, you know? That's what it's really there to do. And the idea behind the Second Amendment originally was, well, if the British come back, we can fight against them. Yeah, that's really the whole idea, you know? And so, you know, nobody wants a boog, and let's just hope we don't have anything like that anytime soon, because, yeah, I'd like to live past today, as Ron Perlman has been known to say. You know, that is something I've seen. Like, the blue hairs do like their firearms, but they also vote for politicians that want to take them away. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. You know? Are we supposed to go over here? Make it make sense. It just doesn't make any sense. There's a xenomorph behind me. No, it's not. It's even worse. It's a face hugger. When you consider, like, how silly face hugger, chest burster, You know, how silly that sounds, but because of the design and the movie Alien, those are actually kind of scary. Snowpiercer vibes? Maybe. I've not actually read or seen the movie. Only refers to militia. Explain a form of militia that don't have a right to firearms. Exactly. Originally, every man was supposed to be a member of the militia. You know, like if you were of a certain age, you just were automatically a member of the militia. You were supposed to fight. I think that's one of those things that people don't really think about. Yeah, but that's just one of those things, you know. The sad part about social media is a lot of it just boils down to buzzwords and talking points. I could totally do like a really bad thumbnail. General Lotz talks about democracy while fighting xenomorphs. I'm not going to do that. I have too much pride. This is a pretty good game. It's just way too hard. And a little confusing. What? AR-15s don't do that. I mean, 223 is a pretty powerful round. It's the whole people except for a few public officials. Yeah, I hear that one. Yeah, the thing is, there's a lot of ignorance. There's a lot of stupid shit. I mean, that's going to be the case with everything, you know, because people don't bother doing the research. People know more now than they used to. I mean, like, once again, politics used to be the purview of weirdos like me, and that was it. You know, that was it. It was just weirdos like me. And the reason I knew more about politics than my peers was because I spent hours and hours in the library all the time, you know, studying, you know, civics and stuff like that. God damn it. Fucking face huggers. Oh, I've been going 2 hours. Alright, well, I think that's a good stopping point. Getting face hugged. Bad touch, right? Is spreading forced democracy on those lucky alien xenomorphs. But, yeah, politics was once just a thing that people like me did. It's one of those things, you don't necessarily... There was a time when you didn't really have to care, you know? Well, probably not. I don't have that much time. I like to record for, or like to stream for about 2 hours, Silverwing, because I can't do like 5 or 6. I got a million things I gotta do. So yeah. I used to beat the games over different recording sessions, but I want to talk about a bunch of different games, and if I just kept it at one, you know? Now, if it was a game I knew really well, I could get very far. In the UK, I think, does sell guns. There's tons of regulations. Yeah, although weirdly enough, countries you wouldn't think about allow their citizens to have ARs. Like New Zealand, they have ARs there. Special DeLorean video. Not bad. DeLoreans are my favorite car. I don't care how shitty they are. But I don't know. I wouldn't consider myself very political. I just find myself politically aware. I know what's going on. I'm not going to try to tell you to, you know, fight this or fight that. I'm just going to tell you like it is, you know? Yeah, I'm not going to just shout slogans at you, you know? Which, when I think of people who are political, I think of people who just repeat the same shit they hear over and over again. More than anything else. Yeah, and I'm not depressed or bitter. At least not about politics. So yeah, like I've seen these political types. I've seen them, you know. And they all kind of sound the same. They all kind of have the same issues. And, you know, I keep myself aware of what's going on, but I got a life outside of that. I'd rather, you know, I'd rather read about aliens than necessarily read about political crap. I just am aware of it. I was very interested in like early American history for a very long time, and I still am, but the big problem is political people have politics take over their whole lives. So they would not, like, say, watch Alien and just watch it as a movie. They'd be like, what does Ripley doing this mean? Or like, is there a class system on board the Nostromo? I've heard people say that. I've heard people say, like, the Nostromo represents the class system? It's like, what? That's the thing. That's what I consider a political person. is like somebody who would read that much into it. Alien is one of those things that it's kind of funny. I've heard this on like the different documentaries where it's like, well, you see, the alien represents the male fear of pregnancy. And yes, Riley, you got here just at the last minute of me talking about like the male fear of pregnancy. It's like, now, I'm sure many of you watching, if not all of you, are guys. Have you ever had a fear of becoming pregnant? I don't think I've ever thought about that, but whatever. That's where like people read way too much into things. It's like the xenomorph, it represents like rape. It's like, it does? I thought it was like an alien creature that like bursted out of somebody's chest. I didn't really make that connection, you know? I think these people need to get a life. Now, when it comes to like politics, I don't spend time thinking of the Roman Empire either. But yeah, that's apparently alien is supposed to represent the male fear of pregnancy. That's what, if you listen to the DVD documentary, you know, if you listen to the DVD documentary, apparently that's what it was supposed to represent. Somehow. Hollywood is weird, ladies and gentlemen. Fear of making someone else pregnant. Now, you know, it does. Yeah, alien represents a bad trip to Taco Bell. See, that's more accurate. But that's the thing. Like, political people, like, overly pretentious people, you know, they'll read into a lot of crap like that. And yeah, H.R. Giger was a weird guy. That one before all men are obsessed with the Roman Empire. I mean, like, I've never thought about the Roman Empire. I mean, like, I'm aware it existed. You know, I'm aware that it was a thing. I read like a single book on it. But like, how often do you think of the Roman Empire? Never? I mean, seriously, come on. I think more about like Star Wars than the Roman Empire. I mean, like, when you can... Yes, you see Trajan's Wall. H.R. Giger tattoo, you're doomed. No, Triple X Medic, you're pregnant. I mean, yeah, you're pregnant. But, yeah. Like, the Roman Empire is cool, I guess. I mean, you got the Gladius and all the rest. The Sapatha. The Imperium Man more... Yeah, it's like, I think about the Imperium more, too. It's just like, if you're a historian that wants to study the Roman Empire, I guess you would think about it a lot, but just being a guy doesn't make me want to think about... Yes, you see, the Emperor Trajan, he erected the wall and what would become the United Kingdom. It's like... I don't know. I don't know. We live in a strange, strange world, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. I don't know. I just work here. I just work here, that's all. All right, lads and lasses. I've had about enough of history, but the Roman Empire just doesn't interest me. Yeah, it doesn't interest me much either. Like, if I'm going to study history, it's going to basically be, you know, like World War II or, you know, like the Civil War, something like that. Same thing. Oh my. Or alien autopsies either. Well, in any event, I'm General Lotz. I'm going to see y'all next week. And I think next week we're going to be doing... Oh, it's the first weekend of December. I don't know what it is, but whatever. We're going to be doing some kind of game. Until then, I'm going to wish you good Metal Gear Solid, a good Metal Gear Solid Revengeance, or whatever makes you happy.